again with another story time. This one inspired by a particular customer who I have seen. Well, I haven't seen her a lot in the past couple of years, but when I first, like in the first 2 years that I started working at the grocery store that I work at, this lady, she had to be about 300 pounds, always in like the motorized like wheelchair cart, which, that's fine. It's supposed to be for the elderly or people with broken legs or feet, but I guess she's fine to use it. But she was a little racist because if she always would ask for help out to her car, because she couldn't carry it, she could barely really walk. And so she would always ask for one of the lot attendants to help carry her groceries out. Now, if any of our lot guys who happen to be black were the only ones scheduled that day, she would refuse their help and just do it herself. So what I just started doing is just saying that whoever was on lot was one of those people, so that she would have to end up doing it herself every time. I don't know if that makes me a bad person. I think she was kind of a bad person, but she spent like a lot of money at our store, so she kind of had an ego because she was like, oh, I'm one of the top 10 spenders at this store, so, I deserve all this respect and love and whatever. So what her shopping process was, which I'll never understand, is she would shop in two waves. She would do one wave of shopping, fill up a cart, like her motorized wheelchair cart, come up to the front and say, can you put these in a cart? I'm not done with my shopping. It's like, okay, lady, sure. But she would always do like frozen food and meat and dairy cold stuff first. So then instead of just letting it sit there in the cart, we would have to put it away in the refrigerators and the freezers up front. And then when she was done, then go and retrieve them for her. Which, if she had just bought all like the chips or the soup or stuff that doesn't need refrigerated or frozen first, we could just left them in the cart. And then when she's done with her cold shopping, just bring that all over to the register with her. But no, she always gets the cold stuff first, which, alright. So, I was clearly not the biggest fan of hers. And she came up one time, and she was talking to the supervisor, who was like watching the front. Now, it was me and this girl, Emily, standing over the self-checkouts, like with our override cards, helping people out. And so she goes up to the supervisor, and I can see that she's telling him, like, I'm not done with my groceries, please put these away, as she always does. And he knows her, so he was like, oh, sure, right away, let's get on that. So he calls Emily and I over, we grab her stuff, we put it in the refrigerator, that's sitting up front. Now, my manager, who I wasn't a huge fan of at the time either, she's like walking by and sees the refrigerator is full of meat and like dairy products and whatever, and she's like, oh my god, why is this so full? And we were like, I don't know. And she goes, well, let's go put all this stuff back, because when people didn't want stuff that happened to be refrigerated, we would put it in this refrigerator that needed to be put back on the shelf. And if there was ever downtime, that was one of the things we would do, is we would put the stuff back on the shelves. So she panics and thinks, oh god, the refrigerator's already full. We're not going to make it through the rest of the day. We had to put some of this stuff back. And so she goes, Emily, can you please put the cold stuff back? And she looks at me, and I look at her, and we exchange this look like, we should do it. So she goes, of course, I would love to. And so she gets a cart, loads up all the cold stuff in there, and walks off and starts putting everything back away. Now, normally I feel like we would feel bad for this, but because this lady is such a hateful woman, we did not feel bad at all. So my manager is like standing up front, and she's kind of like watching what's going on, and this was about like half an hour later. So she's up there, and we see the lady in her motorized cart, like, beetling over, just like, and she like rides up to my manager, and we can't hear what's going on, but I can pretty much guess how the conversation was going. And so we just see the lady, she's like sitting in her cart, and she's like, basically saying, I'm here for my groceries. I had them put in the refrigerator till I was done. And we see my manager, she's like nodding. She's like, and then she just goes, And I can just see the look of panic in her face. And I was like, oh God, she figured it out. And so I was like, Emily, she figured it out. So Emily's like, oh God. So we had to like, you know, play it cool. And my manager goes, Emily! And Emily's like, yes? She's like, did you put all that stuff away? And she goes, yes, I did. I did exactly what you told me to do. I'm trying my hardest not to like bust out laughing because my manager's about to run over and tell us that that was wrong. So she comes over and she goes, oh my God, I didn't realize that was this lady's stuff. And she, do you remember what it was? And Emily's like, oh gosh, no, I don't. Fake as hell, but it was just so entertaining for me and for her because we're like, what was it? And so then my manager had to go back to the lady and explain to her that we didn't have any of her stuff and that she would have to go back and redo it. And oh, it was just a fun time. And I just remember it fondly because I felt like she finally got a little something of what she deserved. Honestly, like, I haven't seen her in years. Thank God she doesn't shop there anymore, and if she does, I don't have to see her. Because it was just getting really ridiculous that she had this overinflated sense of pride about herself for no reason. Because she spent a lot of money at a grocery store. And if that's your claim to fame, that, like, well, I spent a lot of money at a grocery store. So, you know, like, that's not something to really be gloating about. But because she was here, she thought she deserved special treatment. And I'm like, I get it. We don't want to run customers off. But if she were to go complain to anyone about it, we wouldn't be at fault. Because, you know, we didn't know. So, so anyway, there was that story. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've had any crazy customer stories that you would like to share, or if you've ever encountered somebody like this who has an overinflated sense of self for no reason, and they're walking around like they own the place when they don't, and maybe they got their comeuppance, maybe they got maybe just a little bit of it, maybe you fucked with them once or twice and whatever. And if you have a funny story like that, I would love to hear about it because I love hearing about retail stories and hearing about people getting what they deserve. Karma's a bitch, and it strikes in unlikely places.